teach at North Allegheny, and I teach first grade. I taught other grades, but for the most part, it's been first grade. That's my niche. That's where I'm comfortable. So that's where I've been. Just to give you a little background, I have three kids. They're grown. Right now, they're all living at home. Two of them were very, very good students. The kind of students that just did their work, and you just said, "Is your homework done?" You know. And then my youngest one had learning disabilities, but nothing severe enough to get him help. So he was just always that kind of kid that was on the edge. That, you know, he will say right now that there are 3 books that he has read in his life on his own, and he is 31. And of course he will say one was because he had to read it to be confirmed in the church. So he has only read. So he is my, doesn't like to read, hates to read. My granddaughter is 9. She lives with me also. She goes to my school, which is very cool. She has Asperger's and ADHD. So, there's some things that go on there. So I understand not exactly what each of you do, because each of your kids is different. But I do understand that these kids all learn differently, and my heart aches for all of them. I mean, because we just try to meet their needs, and just aren't enough people to go around to meet all their needs. Even in the, I'm sure in the city schools, but even in the affluent schools, our class sizes are big, and kids fall through the cracks. I have to say, I had Alexa.
My youngest daughter, she taught her
Yes.
first grade.
Yes.
And she's severely dyslexic.
Yeah. It's hard. You do what you can, and you hope you've done enough, and you hope that it's carried on year after year, because somebody drops the ball, and that little one falls back a lot. So anyway, that's who I am. I still live in the North Hills. I'm a Pittsburgher, born and raised here, and I'm a North Allegheny graduate too, so I'm from this area. I got involved, initially I heard about Urban Impact through Ed Glover. I go to Christ Church, so that's how I know of Ed. He is like a hero to me. I just think everything. You were all heroes to me, actually. What you do is, I get paid, and you were heroes to me, so thank you. What you do. So when I talked to Rachel, she said, could you talk a little bit about engaging the kids as well? And I heard you saying that that's the key issue, is the kids are struggling readers. And I'm assuming we're talking about just reading today. We're talking about vocabulary, but this would go into math as well. They're struggling. They don't feel good about themselves because they're struggling, because they know. There's not a child that doesn't know when they're struggling. And the last thing they feel like doing is doing more of the same stuff that they're not successful in. So the whole idea is to engage them. So, and I tell my parents this all the time at school, my job is to entertain. 99% entertaining the kids, 1% teaching them, because you got to get them in, you put out that hook, you reel them in, and they'll do anything for you. So you really need to find a way to get them to trust you, to know that you can help them, that you will make a difference, that they can do it, and empower them to do it. So I brought down a bunch of ideas, and I tried to make them things that you can make at home, that doesn't cost a lot of money, that would be very simple. And if you have anything to add, or things that you have done, I'd really like this to be someplace. I'm sure I can take something away from you too. So I'd really like this to be something we can just talk about some stuff too. And so this would be really informal. So I brought some stuff, and let me get this to you first of all. There are a bunch of things in here. There's some there. Let me just start passing them around. There's plenty.
Yeah.
There's plenty. Everybody get one? Okay, I just gave you some ideas in here of some simple games that you can play. And one of the nice things about games, the kids don't get tired of them. You might need to shake
I
them up
noticed
a little
that.
bit. You notice that? I mean, you might need to shake them up a little bit and change some things, but they don't really get tired of them. And one of the things I've done is I've made a gazillion of these game boards. And all I've done is gone onto Google Images, and I just say Disney. So I get all these images, and I just clip them, and I put them onto a Word document, and I just, make them bigger. It's nothing super fantastic, it's nothing fancy, but and then I put these little boxes in, and I program them with the vocabulary they're having trouble with. And, if you engage, as soon as you pull this out right away, most of the kids are going, oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
So, they forget that they're there to practice something that they don't want to practice. So, so this is my board games, and I just brought a few that I can show you. I have tons of them, and I'm going to tell you too that, I'm not all that clever. You can find a whole lot on Pinterest if you've ever gone on Pinterest. These I got on Pinterest just last week, I think, and my custodian, or my assistant was nice enough to make them for me. So, and I'll pass them around, or I'll leave them out here so that you can see the websites on the bottom. I don't white out anybody's website or anything, so, but that's just basically, it's engaging right off the bat. You pull that out, and the little girl or little boy's gonna go, it's colorful, it's got, it interests them. So, like I said, they're not, I don't create everything. A lot of stuff is done, and I'll pass these all around. And I took, no, boys aren't crazy about this. I used the princess. And they're just, again, but one thing I did do is I don't have a beginning or an end. So I let them choose where we begin, and we just keep playing until somebody gets really tired. You can do a lot of different things with it. You can have the list of the words that are on here, and when they land on it and they read it correctly, you check it off, and they keep playing the game until they've gotten everyone checked off. There are a lot of different ways you can keep them engaged in this. You can play the game, and every time they land on a word, have them read it to you and use it in a sentence. And it can be a silly sentence, like, may I have pickles on my ice cream or something, because if you let them do something like that, they'll play along with you a lot longer. So, these are programmed for our reading program, because we do have, a list of vocabulary words in a certain order we have to present them. But, so I have little codes on these for these. And I have simple ones too that I've made that are just, these are Dolch vocabulary. If anybody is working with kids who are really young and you're working with Dolch vocabulary, if you want to give me your email address, I'll send you a whole set of these. I don't mind at all. But these are the ones that we expect the kids to either know when they come to first grade, or the ones that we hit them with right away in September. So, but again, I didn't even put a picture back there. I just said, okay, we're gonna get on the school bus and we're gonna go to school. And there's not a kid around that won't play a game board with you for a while. So, as I said, I have tons of these. I use Bert and Ernie, with colors, because I had some kids that didn't know the color words, so I had to make up something. These are Fry vocabulary, and I put a flyer in there. You will hear all kinds of stuff about vocabulary that everybody needs to know, and there are basically two major lists. There's the Dolch vocabulary list and the Fry vocabulary list, and one was made by one guy and one was made by another guy, and they're basically, they cross over. They're very, very similar, but they are the accepted lists that most educators would say children need to know how to read to be successful. There is a a feeling, more than a feeling. Research shows that we have something called the Matthew effect, and this came out of Florida State University. It was kind of interesting because it is based on the Bible, but these researchers came up with something they call the Matthew effect. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And if a child is not successful in first grade, let's say, for instance, maybe we'll say they're 20% behind their class, or they're 2 months behind their class in first grade, they're going to be probably a year behind by the time they get to third grade. It's early, and that's why all the schools are moving to early intervention, getting the kids in kindergarten and first and second grade, and getting them on. Even if we don't get them caught up, if we get them to a place where they have a good feeling about themselves and they know they can be successful. So that is why I applaud all of you, because these kids, if we don't get them when they're young, they're really behind the 8 ball. So, and again, these are all there's tons of them. These are all based on Frozen, and again, they were right off of a website. These are not mine. So you can find a lot on Fry or on Pinterest. Just print it out.
So you just printed it out?
I just print
like
them out.
that? Okay.
Yeah, I just print them out.
Just from Pinterest? Okay.
Yeah. A lot of them will be free. And if it says free, you click on it and it'll come up, and you don't even
And then
have
you
to
just
resize it
laminate
or
it.
anything.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
They would
Yeah,
love that. I know that right
they're
now.
wonderful, yeah. And again, I will get out a paper so that we can, if you need extra resources from me and you want to give me your if you have an email, I would be glad to send you stuff. So, but that's board games. That's my go-to of board games. They're so easy to make, and like I said, I have a lot of these. Sometimes I will give the kids their vocabulary list. You can even use it with spelling, but vocabulary list, and ask them. You program it. You put in your words, and then we'll play the game. And so you can make them without any words in them, and just have them program them, and you can use them over and over again.
Like the child to know how to move a marker
Mm-hmm.
and to play a board game. Many of our children don't know how to do that. So just a heads up that, you'll have to teach them, this is your marker, and you go from this space, all over the area for the answer, because they've
Never played.
Right.
played a board game before. And that's another reason why they love it, because it's a new experience.
Yeah.
And they have you one-on-one,
Mhm.
and and they don't really care who wins. At first they do. At first they do. But after a while, it's just the fact that you're paying attention, that
Yes.
you're playing games with them, that they'll play. I know, I've done some tutoring with some of the kids out near me, and, I'll pull out a couple of these, and we don't even get into any of my other bag of tricks, because they just want to play that for a while, so.
To use a spinner, to know how to roll
I
a
have that
die.
next.
But I'm
Because
saying
they don't know.
They don't know how to even
They don't know how to use a spinner. No,
Wow.
no. So I have those. You're welcome to look at them. The next thing I had in here was a spinner game. Now, this is just a plain old spinner. You can program it any way you want. I do not use this. It was part of my clip art, so I didn't want it out, but I just use a paper clip and spin it. You don't even have to, you can make them on a piece of paper, and all you use is the, paper clip, put the pencil in here, and then they can spin it. So it's really easy. But this game is kind of fun because you can program it, or you can have them program it. And I did leave the directions on there for you. I play it with, I did bring some. I play it with two-sided counting. It's really easier if I show you one that's already programmed. where you use the same words, there are places for 8 words on the spinner. And so you're going to use the word several times, okay? So what you do is you have them spin, and you can play it. I have 2-sided counters. You can use pennies and dimes. You know, that's what I tell my parents to use at home. But, so say a little boy, he's yellow, and he gets dot. He has to cover one of the dots. So he has to be looking all the time for the dot and matching it. And I always tell the kids, turn the spinner so you can see what the word looks like, and then it can be any one. Then I spin, maybe I get 2, so maybe I want to go down here. You're teaching them eventually, not at the beginning, but eventually they're going to start learning some strategies for blocking, for winning, because this one is one that they're going to want to win a little bit more with. Afterwards, this one they'll want to win first, because they catch on a lot faster to a board game. But something like this with strategies will hold their attention too, because they're trying to outsmart you. You know, and they have to get 5 in a row. Now, let's just say, let's see, there's 1, 2, there's 4 2s on here. So let's say he has the 2s all covered, and he's feeling really good about himself, and I roll a 2. Well, there isn't one, so I can turn it over and take it.
Ah,
That's a good idea.
Oh, cute.
This game, they will play this game, no lie, for half an hour. I mean, this one
And we
game.
only have 20 minutes.
Yeah, I am saying, because, you know, it takes forever to learn to win, you know, because you keep turning it over and keep turning it over, and finally somebody gets 5 in a row, and they will just stay with it because it's like a matter of pride for them. I gotta win this game. So I find that even when I have some of my 4th and 5th graders come down and play with my 1st graders, they love it. So, you know, there's a little bit more strategy involved. It's not as passive a game as a board game can be. So,
Did you make those markers?
these are purchased from our math program.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, they're little soft things, yeah. But I tell my parents to use pennies and dimes, you know, just 2 different colors, so, you know, and they love it. So this is another thing, you're welcome to look at these too, but it's not anything.
Is that from Pinterest also?
No, I made these.
Oh, okay.
But I think you can find one similar to it
Yeah.
on Pinterest.
Yeah.
You can find anything on Pinterest.
Okay.
Yeah, and, you know, then teachers are hoarders, but we also share, so.
Okay.
Anything that you want, you know, we'll share.
And with this
so.
blank, you could just make
Make
lots of
tons of
copies,
them.
and you could just
Right.
do whatever.
Yeah, why doesn't Urban Impact just have all this stuff in the
Well,
cupboard?
Well, you know what, they will if I retire next year.
Okay.
So.
I mean, I went to stores to try to
Yeah.
buy stuff. I looked at
Well, we
the,
don't have too many stores anymore
Yeah.
that sell teacher supplies.
Yeah.
There's a lot in, are you at King High?
yeah.
Okay, there's a lot. There's a crate, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, I did play games with them, and that was the thing I loved the most. I told my kids, like, they're so happy that you're playing a game with them.
Yes.
Like, they just sit there and they have a little smile, and it just,
Well, and you think about it, these little kids there's a lesson going on in class.
yeah.
And it's taking them twice as long to figure out what's going on. So maybe when the other kids get to play a game, maybe the teacher is still working with them to finish a workbook page, you know?
Yeah.
And so they get the short end of the stick when it comes to that independent play that they need so much.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's practice. And I tell my parents this, you know, play these games at home with your kids. This is practice. This is what they need. They're not going to learn something like that. I mean, if they do, then it's too easy. So, you know, did you want to say something, Cindy?
another thing too we have found at King is you could use your game as your reward for discipline. If Jimmy's really off the wall and you need to get him settled and focused and you know he likes this, Jimmy, you know, let's get this and this. I promise you, we will save time to play your special game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And another fun marker for our kids that came, because they don't get a lot of it, if we just buy a big bag of M&Ms.
Yeah, we're not allowed to have that.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to have that in our
But I'm
school.
saying that if I'm red and Jimmy's yellow, then of course you don't get to eat the ones you use, but you take an extra bag of yellow,
Yes.
an extra bag of red, and,
Yeah.
Yes.
you know.
And you could change that around all the
Yeah,
time. I
you
mean,
do.
you could say this time around is getting close to Halloween.
it's-
and you
yeah.
have the Halloween candy.
Yeah, like,
you
yeah,
know,
that'd
you
be
could
candy
just have a lot
corns,
of fun with that.
Kisses, anything.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what I was just
that
gonna
would
say, we
work.
can't give them a whole bag,
Right.
because Jimmy said fill the
Right.
sugar and send them back, but, you
Yeah.
know, hey, 4 or 5 M&Ms,
Yeah.
they're in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, because it's their own, and a lot of times they won't even eat them. They don't want to put them in their locker. Or they'll say, I'm gonna eat 2, but then I'm gonna save these 3 for my sister,
Oh,
you know, or can I give to Miss Fun, or what, yeah, or it's, yeah, they'll do that a lot with stickers too, can they have one for their teacher,
Well,
one
yeah.
for their family member. So it's just another,
Yeah.
just from
It
experience.
is, yeah, absolutely. The third thing I have on here is match games, and I know you all know match games, so I was just gonna show you. They don't have to be fancy. I mean, I just made these. Now, of course, I do have an assistant to help me in school, so, you know, I print them out and say, can you make these for me? So, but, you know, you can get colored paper, you can just write them, or like I said, you could spend 10 minutes of your 20 minutes. I know your time is precious with them, but that's a learning thing too, just for them to make the cards. The one thing that I do with my kids that are struggling though, I make match, and this happens to be a bigger set than I normally have, but I put words that are in different fonts, so that those are pretty close. But when I type them, let's see if I can find some that are kind of different. They're a little different, so they can't just match. You really have to look at the words. So, you know, depending on how good they are with their, I would always put in ones that they know. Always put in ones they know.
Yeah, they need to
I put in that-
succeed.
Yeah, they have to succeed. So, yeah, I would maybe add a few little ones that they don't know, and then some that they do know, and then we're gonna take this out next time, because you just know this one, so, you know, and make them good about it, but it's simple. You can do these, I also have done, I thought I brought one, but maybe I didn't. It'll show up sometime, you know. I've also, taken old playing cards, and, you know, if you have a printer at home and a computer, and you can just, you know, do a sheet of labels, and, which is what I did, no, I did my niece. You know, just print out your labels with the words, and stick them on playing cards. You know, it's really easy, you can do that with math cards too. So, but match games, you know, the old concentration, they'll play that. That's another one they don't know. They don't know these.
So when you play the match game, do you just have it face up and then they pull, how, or are you doing
Yeah.
it like where they have to memorize where
I
things were?
usually go through it with them, and when they're pretty familiar with the words, and I would use the words that the teacher gives you, and I would just spread
Okay,
them out
yeah,
like
like a
that,
concentration.
yeah, just
Okay.
like concentration.
And then they keep it when they match it?
Right.
Okay.
Right. But I wouldn't start, this is kind of a big one.
Yeah,
This
that's
is my
harder.
theme one, but some of them, like when I teach a new week, when we are working on that, I just have maybe 6 cards or something like that. This is the theme one, but, yeah, I just usually have about 6 or 8 cards, because you want them to win, and then mix them up and play it again. But they'll stick with you on it, because, you know, again, they'll feel successful at that. So that's another one. I'm going down my list here. Stop me anytime you want. Thank you for chiming in too. I really enjoy this. The shake up one. Is this. And I have these in, I have old water bottles. I have old Crystal Light containers. okay? I'll show you this, I use these for something different, but you can use that too. And I fill them, some are filled with rice, because I go to Sam's and I get that great big thing of rice. Some of them are filled with little elbow noodles or something, the little ones, you know. And I put in some words that I want them to work on. Now, this happens to be Dolce vocabulary for kindergarten. And the kids just shake it and they go, oh, found a word, well, what's the word? You know, said, can you use it in a sentence? Let's write it down, you know. And, or you can give them the list of the words that you put in there. It's, you know, it's simple, but this one you could use with a lot of different kids. So, you know, if you program these. Like I said, I just got little tag board squares.
Yeah,
It's really easy, you know, and they love looking for the words. And you could, if you happen to ever have, you know, I don't know if you ever have two kids come together, but I know this is one thing that I will sometimes do is they'll read the word to the other person and try, or even say, can you find this word? They have to have a list of what's in there. They'll start making up everything, Madagascar. But it's just,
Is that
it's
just
simple.
construction paper in
It's
there?
just, it's tag board. It's like this kind of,
Okay,
okay, it's
yeah.
just a little bit more.
Yeah, look,
more-
sturdy,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's, you
And
get
look at it,
broken.
and they're great. Now, you know, if you have a real rambunctious child, you might want to tape it shut.
especially right
They're
there.
not real sturdy,
Yeah.
but my kids, I put them out when they have free time, they go and play and they write down the words they found. And, you know, and they always ask me, how many words are in there? Actually, I think,
How many words are in here?
I have no idea. I will show you what I do.
That's
This is what I make. So I cut them up, but this probably goes into two of those.
Okay.
So, and they're two, I don't know if this one, yeah, they're two-sided.
Oh,
So that's what I've
Oh,
done
the
with
words
those.
are two-sided,
Yeah, and I don't
okay.
think they're the same, yeah, they're not the same on each side, so,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oh, they're not the same?
No, they're not the same, so there's twice as many words in there.
Okay.
Yeah. This, yeah, so, yeah, and I also, like, I have them, you know, have paper, and I just have them write down what they can find, and you can even time them. Say, I'm gonna give you a minute, see how many words you can find, put them down. You know, there's so many different ways you can do, some different little games you can do with that simple little bottle of nothing. You know, everybody has water bottles, you know.
Start my collection there.
Yeah, right here today, huh? Some other things I have is this one, I just made this week. And it's called Kaboom, and I have it down at the bottom, I think, yeah. But, I put, this happens to be the kindergarten word list that North Allegheny requires our kids to know, so we're like 42 words. So, and there's, so I made little, so I picked out Kaboom. So I put all these little words they have to know on sticks, and you can just, you know, take turns pulling out a word, reading it. If you want to use it in a sentence, you can use it in a sentence, if not, but the game stops when somebody pulls out Kaboom. You see, how many did you get this time? Let's see if we can beat it next time, you know. They're dying, they're in there trying.
How many
Trying to find
kabooms
it.
do you put in
I
there?
put in one, but I have been known to put in 2, 3, and 4.
Okay,
So
all
this one
right.
only has one in
Okay.
right now, because I wanted them to have a lot of, I wanted the game to go for a while.
Yeah,
But if you want to limit,
yeah,
you know,
okay.
you could put in more. But again, it's just, I mean, these are craft sticks, which I got at Catan's. I
Yeah.
love everybody Catan's. Yeah, the dollar store, and it's fun, you know, and it'll, you know, you can even, you know, playing with one child and if nobody else is using it. Okay, you get to keep that one because you know that one, you know. Because they're, I think I have a big box, I don't know how much it was, but it wasn't very much money. But that's just another game that you can play with, and it just doesn't cost any money. Just trying to think of that. See, some other things that I might have brought, here's something. It's another game we play, it's called
But the
Pancake
kids would
Game.
love you.
I love to play games. I love to play games. So I just made pancakes. Actually, my assistant made these for me, okay? And they have the words on them. And you just you know, you just put them, now I have carpet, so it works better than on here, but they have to flip a word over, and then they have to read it. If they read it correctly, they get it. You know, it's just something very simple, and I do have one that isn't programmed, and if you get that, the game stops, so I don't know what I did with it, but there is one that doesn't have a word on it. There it is. So, you know, you can just, you know, and you could probably make these for a group and just have them available and use Post-its and put your words on it, the little ones, you know, and then change them.
Yeah,
you know.
change them with
So,
their.
yeah,
Even
Yeah.
3x5 card, you would have to take the time to cut.
absolutely,
It's just the
absolutely.
idea of the flipping.
It's the idea, here's your gimmick right here.
Uh-huh.
It's just
Yeah,
a
right.
little, you
Yeah,
know, this is it.
it's good to have a gimmick.
You wouldn't believe how, we haven't played that for a while, whereas and get it out, and Lord help us if we lose this, because they go crazy.
That's funny.
You can't find the flipper, where's the flipper? So, yeah, I have these for every month, so they like it. Some things that you don't think they're gonna like at all, they will eat up. Here's something, this is I think my last thing I have, and this table, now mine are old, but they don't have to be fancy or anything. But you just make little, like, and again, you can use word cards and index cards. Maybe put stickers on them to make them fun, or you can make them in the shape of a fish. But I put the paper clips on them and I put them all over the floor. I am not fancy. I have a roller with a string on it with a magnet, and they go fishing and they read the cards. So
They would
now
like
this,
that.
yeah. Now I have fish too, but I didn't see those right away, so I grabbed my monsters. But because these are short O words, so it's a monster. But so you don't have
It's
to
just a paper clip.
paper clip and a magnet.
You wouldn't even need the string.
No, you wouldn't. In fact, with the smaller kids, you probably wouldn't. I did a
Just
kindergarten orientation, and I'd let them pass it around because they, you know, the whole idea is the magnet. They don't care about the fishing rod. They just try.
Because just being a little
Mhm.
less, we don't have a lot of space.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's the magnet with the paper clip.
So those are my ideas for vocabulary. I don't know if I put this in your packet or not. It was, you know, we started late this year, and as organized as I was this summer trying to get things together, all of a sudden, kaboom, you get hit with a new reading, or a new math program and everything kind of got tabled for a while. But I think I might have put this in. If I didn't, I will get you them. These are some things I made this year. I love dice. I use dice for everything. I have a huge bin of dice. I buy dice from Amazon all the time and just collect them. I get dice, they get dice games, you know, at the end of the school year, Christmas time. I give them dice games all the time because they love dice. But you can make a little game like this, and I think I might have put this in for you. And just put their words down here. My kids love to do this in the morning when they come in. They write their word once, and then they roll the dice. Now, over here would be their programmed words, like their spelling words, or the vocabulary words. So let's just say dog is here. They would have to write dog with a pencil, and then they could roll their dice, and whatever number, then they had to trace it with that color. And they could use markers, they could use colored pencils, or they could use crayons. And some of them said when they got down, I said, well, then do it again. So then so it became rainbow writing, and they rolled again and did them again. So, and the same thing on the back. You could put words on those crayons, and then words across here. And when they found a word on a crayon, they would look up here to see the word, and they'd say, oh, dog, I'm supposed to color it yellow. So they would color that crayon yellow. So they could be programmed for anything, just a little fun activity. I didn't know whether to give this to you or not, because really this is kind of more of something that they would do independently.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to get them, for whatever reason, calm down before they go back or something, sometimes that's a nice thing. My last one is something I just made up this summer, and I haven't tried it yet, but it's in my lesson plans for this week. I can't wait. And I gave you short O and short I. I have them for all the short vowels. I have them for the R-controlled vowels. I have them for the digraphs. I have them for the long vowels. I will send you anything you want. But this is just kind of fun. Again, I love dice. So this is something you would do with the child. He'd roll, and he'd have to say he got a 1. He'd have to read something from the ones column. And then he could either put a marker on it. These are really small. Probably like a chocolate chip or something, or an M&M, something, or color it, you know. And then you could play this for quite a while. But these are programmed for the vowel sound, so that.
I have a question. So do you feel like, especially with kids who have trouble with their attention span, that they would do better than actually trying to read a book? Because I feel like they like games or anything else way more than reading a book, but I think it could be because they're not as good at reading the book.
Well, I think the ultimate goal is to get them to read the book.
Yes.
So, but this is really more about vocabulary. So, to be able to read the book, they have to have
Yeah.
the words down pretty pat.
Yeah.
That's why I always tell parents with first graders, I don't care about comprehension. You know, that's down the road. I model it, and they do listening comprehension. We talk about stuff based on what they hear in a story from me, but they need to know their vocabulary, and they need to know their phonics. They're
Yeah.
two different things. So,
Mhm.
you know, if somebody will calm down and read a book with you at the end, I think that's the ultimate goal, or even a couple sentences. One of the things I do in addition to this, sometimes I do this mostly with my little reading groups, is it's called Roll and Read. I don't think I brought one. Let me see if I had one in one of my games. I might have it here. Yeah, I do. This is called Roll and Read. And this happens to go with the frozen board that was numbered 1. But after we played that game for a while, then we go to this. And again, I pull out my dice. I have big ones, and we use those. And you roll the dice, and whichever one you get, that's the sentence you read.
Okay.
So it's not overwhelming then.
Yeah.
You know, a book might be overwhelming.
That's what I wondered, yeah.
And they get it at school. So, I don't know, I would defer to you all on that, because you know better than I how they respond. You know,
Well, some of them are reading just like one sentence at a time, and a lot of them, books that we have are repeat. You know, I saw the apple, then I saw the dog. So you could just easily, even with that flipper, you know what book you wanted ahead of time. If you would write those words down before you left, then you could do that. You know, or
With a
make
flipper
a board
game.
just with your words, and then, okay, now we practice our words, let's try our book.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
they'd be thrilled.
Right. I
That's
mean,
fine.
you know, if you could even just keep in the game mode and put on this, in the flipper game, instead of having a word, you can have short sentences. Flip it over, read the sentence, once they're comfortable.
Yeah.
The whole idea is to keep them feeling comfortable and feeling successful.
So for the beginning of the year, they're gonna come in and not even really know the phonics and
Right.
some of them, a lot of them. Because I came in the second half of the year and some still didn't have
Yeah.
all of that down pat.
Yeah.
And I think you can even use some of the games with learning phonic sounds, like putting the letters
Yeah.
itself. you
Yeah.
know, as you learn what they're struggling with.
Right.
Let's just work on those letters today.
Right.
And
Yeah.
We'll make it a game.
I don't know, do you have access to iPads with the kids at all? No?
Unless it's a personal one.
Okay, well, there is a wonderful, I'm just gonna give it to you anyway, just so you have it. There is an absolutely wonderful website that we go to a lot at NA, and we have the kids on it. It's free, and it's called starfall.com. Starfall, it's one word. STARFALL, yeah. And it's great. It has got little stories on them, very little stories. It has little games, little matching, little tic-tac-toes, things like that. You know, you can always do bingo or tic-tac-toe with these, you know. I usually play tic-tac-toe with my kids when I teach them new vocabulary word. You know. But as far as practicing with the kids, you want to keep it, I think, probably uniform as far as what you're teaching. You want to keep with the teacher, but I think you want to make it very different from the teacher so that they don't feel like it's more the same. You have your work cut out for you too. I can't tell you, I can't say it enough how impressed I am, because it's.
Do you
know,
think they just don't know it because no one did it with them, or?
I think there are a lot of reasons. Yeah, I think that's one. And I think, just as a whole, I think our society is busy. I think
Yeah.
families are busy.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
You can tell, I've had kids who all of a sudden seem to improve, and I would say, "Is somebody working on this with you at home?" And they would say, "Yeah, my mom started working with me." It's amazing the difference it makes. You can really tell.
on the front sheet there, I think I put a label with my address and my website, if you need anything. And I do have a website on the MA website, and, you know, it has a lot about vocabulary on it, and not too much. I'm a big phonics teacher, but I don't know that I don't have a phonics page because we have a huge phonics program at MA, but, I know that like the vocabulary we use is on there, my spelling words, but again, these many word lists that you get, there's just so many of them. There's this one, you know, there's just so many of them. There's this five, you know, and this is another one. These are interesting.
Okay.
So these are geared towards first graders, right, Marcia? So like, it's a good place to maybe start when we first start the year and see, kind of review it, even
Yeah.
if it's a second grade class, maybe
Oh,
review
yeah.
these.
Yeah. Actually, if you have second graders, I would start with some first grade stuff so that they feel like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The first grade word list is there, yes. Yes, these are all first grade lists. And you can find them online for any grade. A lot of the school districts have them online too. I don't know if Pittsburgh does. I'm not familiar with their reading program. I should be, but I don't know what their reading program is here. I don't know what the reading program is that Pittsburgh uses.
I don't know.
No.
I'm familiar. Rachel might know.
I went on their website last year and tried to find it, and I couldn't find it, so it might be one that they've kind of got. Pardon me?
I think it's at
No.
first, second grade. If I remember my teacher, once or twice, she sent me with the things over here, but not very often.
Well, I think it's kind of cool for the kids to have the opportunity to play some games and to read some stories that aren't the same as what they're doing in school. You know, as long as it fits in with what they're teaching. You know, just a little variety for them.
Yeah.
And to make them feel special. I got to do this, I worked with this, you know, I worked on this today. It just think,
Yeah, I guess it's key. I always felt like if I could understand what the teacher was, what lesson or what sound, short aid, what they're doing that week in class, because I wasn't always sure, and because I'm not trained as a teacher, I don't know like where to start and how to progress. So maybe if we could work with the teacher. I know my teacher didn't always
Yeah.
inform me what was
Yeah,
going
my
on
teacher
that
did
week.
not either.
Yeah,
And
so
I
you
sort
need
of
to
felt
kinda-
like too, I didn't teach little kids, I don't
Right.
know. I mean,
Right.
my own, but,
right.
I think for the most part, you can, I mean, I even found in my, and I had a pretty involved teacher, but she was always obviously teaching or busy. And so, I would ask the students sometimes, like write them in there, what are you working on? And they would say, like they're aware at least to know, like what are the words you've been working on? And they might say a few, and then you can kind of get a clue into, okay, I think, we can work with that.
Okay.
And pick out some books some of the decodable books that kind of fit in with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like, you kind of have to play by ear with what your teacher, how you work together. Some of them will have a folder, some of them won't, and
Yeah.
they're, work on whatever. And so you kind of have to
Yeah.
see what the best relationship is. So,
Yeah, it would be nice if, and I don't know, it would be nice if they do have a reading program for the city. I don't know, now a lot of the school districts do, but the city being as huge as it is, I don't know that they have a citywide reading program. But if they do and they would have it on a website or something, it would be nice, because then you could stay like a step ahead and like kind of plan what you might want to do with the kids. And as far as if you're working with first grade, even with second grade, I would hit them with the short vowels again. That would be my big suggestion, because a lot of times, we pass these kids on to second grade, but they really don't have a solid foundation. That they're pretty good with by the time they're in second grade, they know their letters. But those vowel sounds can be really hard for them, and those short vowel sounds, they are controlled vowels, so it can be
and
tricky.
I think for the most part, the students too that we work with are the ones that are behind their grade level.
Yeah.
Even reviewing the things that
Yeah.
they need are helpful.
And then if no one did anything with them in the summer,
Then
and
they
this
have
hasn't been
slid.
reinforced, then some of this
Right.
has been a little forgotten.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, you don't want those gaps to develop, because these gaps just get bigger, and it's, you're building the house on sand instead
Yeah.
of a rock, and,
Yeah.
it's gonna collapse.
Yeah.
You're gonna hit the wall, you're not gonna be able to get over it.
Jackie, another nice thing to say too, Hunter, the first week or two, but once you've been in and you see the routine with your teacher, is to say, and I'll just use my teacher, Miss Bynum, after working with you for 2 or 3 weeks now, I feel that I could better serve you and your students if you would be so kind as to, when I come in and say, these are our spelling words,
Yeah.
or this is my theme for the week, we're working on short
Right,
or
right.
whatever.
Because then you can reinforce
Exactly.
it.
better
But
to know what
I
they're
think if you
working
take
on.
it from your perspective, we
Yeah.
always say I statements are better, but,
Yeah.
I could better serve you
Right.
and our students, not her students, our students, that, if you could just, let me know when I come in, or is it better for you to
Right.
put a little on a sticky note or whatever, or, I
Yeah.
know folks do emailing back and forth. It, like Julie said, it depends on how involved your teacher gets, but
Yeah.
Right.